Welcome to the finish line with Sew Very Easy. My name is Laura, and today I want to finish my Barbie bed runner. The stitch I want to do is going to be on my domestic machine. I'm going to have my walking foot on, and I'm just going to let it go straight. However, the stitch is not going to be straight. It's going to have a beautiful curve to it. I call it a serpentine or serpentine stitch. It has this curve. The needle curves, not the foot. So I'm able to follow a straight line and have those beautiful curves. So I never have to hit a point and it will always look nice. So I'm going to go to my Bernina and I'm going to set it up with a walking foot, and we'll talk about that. We'll talk about the stitch that I'm going to do, and I'm going to show you a trick on how to measure and decide what lines we're going to follow. So here's that Barbie bed runner that I want to quilt. I'll put a link in the description where I did make this. What I want to do is do this gentle curve going in two different directions. So it sort of is a crosshatch, but it's a curved crosshatch. I'm not going to worry about going around the heads or the letter B. I just want that beautiful curve. So there are a few things I'm going to do. The first thing, of course, is I do have my quilt all sandwiched and ready to go. I am going to be doing lines coming from these cornerstones. I'm going to go in one direction and I'm going to go in the other direction. And those are the first lines that I'm going to quilt. I'm going to start and go all the way and then turn around and go in the other direction. That's just going to anchor everything down. Then we're going to do these center lines. And that's a little secret that I'll show you when we get to that. But the first thing that I want to do is do those lines. And I love this big ruler. I did pick it up at the hardware store, and you will get this in the construction department. It's 48 inches, so it gives me a good long line to start with. And I'm going to draw a line right there on the edge of all of those cornerstones. So I'm just going to go and draw those straight lines. So rolling it is going to help that chalk stay in the marks. And I'm going to be able to work on one side, keep going, and then keep unrolling. So the setup I have at the machine is I try to extend that counter as big as I can. The other thing I like to do is put a pillow on my lap. That pillow on the lap sort of extends this area, so I have a bigger surface even still. Now we need to set up the machine. I do have a walking foot on, and when you put that walking foot on, you will need to put that little extra bar on that screw so that that needle can lift that foot up and down. When we look at any walking foot, you're going to see a little fork and the area where we attach it to the machine. This little foot needs to go around this little piece here, this little screw. That needs to go up and down with that arm, and it's going to move these feet. And that's what's going to help feed that fabric in. Now for my stitch, I want to choose a stitch that has that little curve to it. On my machine, which is a Bernina, I have 3 stitches, 1396, and you can see how gentle that curve is. 1397, it is a larger curve. And 1398, which is even a larger curve. I want a shorter curve so that I can see more curvy. So I'm going to do 1396. So this curve, the needle is going to move. So I'm going to be able to run that foot straight, and the needle is going to make that curve. So here's that first chalk line that I want to follow. I start off of the quilt. I'm going to follow that line and go right back off that quilt. And my center mark is going to follow the center mark of this line. But you will notice that the needle moves, not the foot. So I don't need to really look at that needle. I'm just looking at that straight line. So that needle is moving, but I'm still able to follow that straight line down the center. And I'm going to stitch right off of that quilt and go to my next line. I'm starting off of that quilt. Just have that foot follow that line. The needle does all of the work. So I have these fun curves. So I have 2 rows going this way, 2 rows going this way. And you can really see that on the back. It really is a pretty little stitch. This is too much space, so I need to put some more lines. So we need to decide where those 2 rows are going to go. So I am going to get my lines right from those cornerstones. Now, in a perfect world, we'll be able to measure that and divide it to whatever we need and draw our lines. But in reality, it doesn't always happen. So I like to take this measurement and put it on a piece of paper. So that's the measurement that I need. I want to do 2 lines. So I'm going to divide my paper into 3, which will give me 2 lines. If I want more, I would just divide it into 4 and keep dividing it until I get the size that I want. But in this case, I only want 2. So I'm going to fold that so that all 3 sides are the same. And fold that paper. Now when I open it up, I have those lines that I want to follow. So it's going to match for each of these sides that measurement. So that's the measurement I'm going to use. I really have no idea what that measurement is, but that is the measurement I'm going to use. And I'm going to mark my quilt now so that I can finish those lines. And I'm going to mark in the middle of that sashing line. Just put a mark. I'm going to do the same for all of those sides. And you can see where that paper is just going to fit right in that area for me. So I'm going to mark all of my squares. This paper is definitely a very high-tech way of measuring, but it works. So I can go from one mark to another, and draw that line. And I'm going to do them going in one direction and going in the other direction. This gentle curve does not need to hit any corners. We just need to keep those lines somewhat the same. Here's an example where I've had to piece these 2 fabrics together because I did want this Barbie in the center. And that curve really does camouflage that seam. And from the back, it has that beautiful, curvy, soft look. It looks nice through the letter B, and it still looks nice going through Barbie's head. I just need to brush off all of this chalk, trim, and bind. My Barbie bed runner is ready for that binding. It looks nice from the front. It's very pretty from the back. It was a lot of fun to make, and that curvy stitch meant you didn't have to follow the lines exactly. No one will know but you. Thank you for joining me today on Sew Very Easy. Feel free to subscribe. I'm on Facebook, Instagram, and I do have a newsletter. It's all free under Sew Very Easy. Bye for now. Oh, and if you're interested, this bed runner will be on sale on my website. I'll put a link in the description for you.